Hello and welcome back to All for United, and more specifically, welcome back to Timeline Talk. Got a very interesting, I think it's fair to say, show for you today. It's going to be possibly a little bit contentious, but we're going to discuss Ole, the players, the coaching, and just sort of what needs tweaking to get this team to that next level. We've got a brilliant panel, hopefully one more to join as well. And I'll introduce you straight after this.
Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from Passionate Reds, only on All for United.
Here we have it. Bainsy, Callum, Stu, hopefully Hammer's join as well. I hope you're all doing well, boys. So yeah, as the title suggests, is it a coaching issue for United at the minute? Because I've seen a lot of tweets at the minute, sort of questioning. Obviously, there's a lot questioning Ollie, but there's also a lot questioning the coaching. So I thought that'd be a bit of a different route to go down today. I've also got a specially requested video from Charlie, who's not here today. He's sent in his thoughts because he's a very big advocate for the improvement of coaching. But I'll come to you first, Bainsy. Just as a brief overview, what do you think does need improving? Is it Ole that's the issue? Is it the coaches behind him, or
what? I think for me, I've always had the mindset of you could be 99% perfect at something, which means it gives you 1% chance of improvement. Is he perfect? Is anyone actually perfect? No, especially in football. I don't think anyone is perfect when it comes to coaches. This one's a really tough one for me because I feel like, well, we'll go briefly because everyone else needs to have their piece. But I think for me that it does need to improve. I'm not going to come out here and say that, we play rubbish football and it's dire and I want to fall asleep and, get Ollie out, etc. No, the football does need to improve. I don't think we've had great performances this season. We've only played 5 games as well. So who knows, at West Ham, we could go and beat them by 2 or 3 or 4 goals. But yeah, I think generally speaking, it should improve. And I'm hoping it does later on in the season. As for the coaching staff, there's been a few comments about how it's, giving the job to mates and not really through merit. I kind of disagree. You've got United people in there. They obviously are doing a good job because last year we came second with 74 points, and year on year they're getting better on that points tally. They get into constant semi-finals. They got to a final, obviously came short. I won't speak too much about that one. But yeah, generally speaking, I think it does need to improve. However, I don't think it's as dire as everyone thinks it is, to be honest. I'm not sure what the others think on that one, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's what we're all about. We need opinions. Different opinions make good debates, I suppose. So, Callum, I know you might get a little bit distracted by the comments, but just sell us your piece to start us off with.
Well, I'm going to say something so revolutionary. Did you know football teams have bad performances every now and then? It happens. God, these people.
No, they can't, Callum. It can't happen.
Do you know what? It's not even an opinion's not even needed. It's pathetic. These idiots need to get a grip. If it's not Ollie, it's the coaches. If it's not the coaches, it's Pogba. If it's not Pogba, it's Martial. If it's not Martial, it's De Gea being crap in there. Honestly, it happens in football. Like, do you know what? I hadn't heard that one, Bader just said until the mates thing, and I'm just scrolling through. I
saw it yesterday.
Just typed in on Twitter, MUFC coaches. Why didn't they say this after the Newcastle game? Why didn't they say this after the Leeds game when we piped them 5-1? Like, you can't just be so reactionary after every loss. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Like, Kieran McKenna, when he came United, was one of the most sought after young coaches in England. Everyone wanted him. He comes to United, and all of a sudden everyone goes, "Oh, he just doesn't cut it for me."
Ramsey as well, though. Ramsey was sought after. Yeah.
He's been at the club 2-3 months. Give him a chance to improve the set pieces. Michael Carrick, look what he's done to our midfield and how much better Pogba's performing and Bruno Fernandes is doing for the club. Like, you can't tell me this. Like, you can't go, "Oh, we've just won 5-1. It was individual brilliance." And then when we lose again because we play poorly, go, "Oh, it's the coaches." Like, you can say the coaches did bad and the tactics weren't right when we lose. But you've also got to give them credit for when we batter teams as well. It's picking and choosing. It's idiots on Twitter who seems to think that they've got you for whatever it is, A badges, for European A badges or whatever it's called. Just show up and support your team. Voice your opinion and say, "Yeah, we got it wrong tactically." But why does everyone have to just be so dramatic? Like, get over yourself and get a grip, for Christ's sake, man.
It's going to be a fun show, isn't it, Callum? I can tell that already. Hammer, I'll come to you next. Good to have you on, mate. Better late than never. But
and Antonio Conte can do one and all, actually. I'm sick of seeing that.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
I'm not really agree with you there. But yeah, Hammer, you sort of missed the intro. So we're talking about obviously the coaching, and there's been a bit of uproar around social media after the loss, topically, that the coaching isn't up to standard. So we're asking, sort of, is it a coaching issue, or is it personnel within the team, or is it Ollie himself that is the reason United do sometimes fall a bit short?
Well, I think part of it, and some people aren't going to like some of this answer in the sense that out of all the teams that Ole has had, even though I know he has made mistakes, like this guy mentions here, he's gotten a team to a point where he wants to get it after inheriting a team that I don't think anybody would have wanted it to inherit in terms of mentality, some players not wanting to be there, injuries, et cetera, et cetera. And then in terms of the coaching staff directly, I came in when Callum was talking about, the guy who came in for the set pieces. You just come in, like, you got to give people some time. No, you could. You got to give people some time to be able to implement whatever it is that they were brought in for. And then again, the part that people are going to like is, I know we've given Ole time, and now has he got the new contract yet? Did I forget that?
No,
not yet.
No. Touted around.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah, it will happen. Yeah, it will happen.
So my point is, it's the first Champions League game. We're 5 games in. Am I off by a game or two?
No, 5 games.
Give him some time. If I understand people want to judge him, but now the team is as best it's been since he's got here. Now, instead of having us on here and other fans talking about, "Oh, our attack is unbalanced, our defense isn't actually fixed yet," blah, blah, blah. Now there's only one position that people are talking about, which is the holding midfield position, right? He's got his center back. We've got Sancho to balance the attack. Give him some time. Let's see what he does with this season. Do we win trophies at the end? And then we can have the conversation of whether or not he's good enough, whether or not the coaching staff is good enough in a more detailed manner instead of a reactionary manner, which is what a lot of Twitter and social media like to do.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I'll come to you, Stu. Obviously, we know your thoughts on coaching. So without going into too much detail, because we'll discuss it later, sort of what's your overview of this? Because I don't think you think it's a coaching problem, do you?
No, I don't. Look, the problem that you've got is reactionary fans, as everybody in the panel has already said. You've got Twitter coaches who really haven't got a clue what they're talking about. And it's very easy to turn around and say it's a coaching issue, it's a managerial issue, and it's not a player issue. I don't think it is a coaching issue, and I think it's an application issue, actually. And you can do as much work as you like on the training ground. You can do as much analysing of the opposition. You can do as much 10v11 as you want, but every game is different. Every time you step over that white line, it's a different scenario. And so, yeah, as everyone said, you could talk about coaching till you're blue in the face. But if you can coach a group of men and they don't apply it, then whose fault is that? Is it the coaches or is it that group of men? And it's all down to application. And I'll just briefly touch on something which I touched on last night, James. Very, very easy scenario. But the analytics department could, you play Newcastle purely as an example, and the left back has been noticed by the analytics department that Sancho's 2 yards quicker over 20 meters, say. Okay. And the way to deploy that is through our CDM, whoever our CDM is. Now, as soon as the CDM gets the ball, he then launches it over to Sancho. Okay. But everybody knows that. Everybody who plays football knows what you do. So the coaching element will come into it, and this is very, very rudimental coaching. It's as basic as it gets. So the guys are talking about coaching, saying as soon as you get the ball, I need you to play it over to Sancho, but don't ping it, because if you ping it, it might land 20 yards in front of him. He might not get it. Don't put any swerve on it, because if you put any swerve on it, it'll go back into play, and it'll give the fullback an opportunity to catch it, close the ground. Okay, and don't slice it, because if you slice it, the chances are it'll go out of play. So what I want you to do is play it with some backspin. Okay, so he does it, and they train and they learn and they coach this 10 times in this session, and each time he's got it bang on. Game day comes in, the scenario unfolds. Okay, CDM's got the ball and he pings it instead of putting the backspin on it. Whose fault's that? Whose fault is that? Is it the players or is it the coaches? They've coached him and told him exactly what to do, but he hasn't done it. He hasn't applied it. So whose fault's that? That's where people are forgetting it. So this is why people go on about coaching all the time. They go on about this, they go on about that. But if you don't apply it in the game scenario, it's an irrelevance. So I don't want to hear people just ripping into coaches. Give us a reason. If you think it's the coaches, give us a reason as to why it's the coaches. And Cal's absolutely spot on, and so is Bainesy.
I know, mate.
No, but you are. Ollie has gone and he's got his super license, which is or whatever this the Premier League license is. So is Klopp. So is Tuchel. He's gone through the exact same process of these so-called super coaches. Okay, but you've got to give people time in football. And unfortunately, the bulk of our fan base, and I'm not having to go at anybody here, I'm just saying the bulk of our fan base grew up in the Sir Alex Ferguson era. And if you look at our history as a club, we've never had that sustained kind of success throughout the history of our club. Look at it. Liverpool went 30 years without winning a title, and it took Klopp, was it 3 years or 4 years to win his first title? 5. There you go.
4 years and a shitload of money, or 5 years and a shitload of money. These things take time.
They do. Ollie's in year 3, isn't he? You've got to give him time. But I'm fed up of people talking about Ollie out, and I want to get Conte in, I want to get Zidane in, etc., 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 or the coaching's crap. Tell us why the coaching's rubbish. Give us your analogy as to why the coaching's rubbish. Change my opinion.
And I just want to say,
I'm sorry for going on, but I just wanted to just give a very, very basic scenario of what you do in a training session if you're looking at. So sorry for going on, lads, but.
No, you're good, man. I want to mention it to some of the comments too that were said. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Nobody here is definitively saying Ole is the man or this coaching staff is the man. We're saying give them time with the strongest squad that he's had since he's been here to see what he can do with it. And then also, Stu said he's not going to have a go at people. I don't really give a shit. I will. Yeah, you guys have grown up mostly in the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Me as well. I'm not, I'm 25. I didn't grow up in the watching any type of 90s or anything. I was born in 96. You're spoiled. All right. I'm a fan of other sports over here in the States. There's teams that I'm a fan of who haven't won shit. I have a team that's made the playoff once since I've been alive. Once. You know how shitty it is to support that team? That's 25 years and one fucking playoff appearance, and we went out in the first round. Anyways, let me not start going. Shit takes time, and in that same breath, this is sports. It's not going to be win a trophy every year. It's not going to be the very best by a mile every single year. I know Sir Alex was able to dominate people for as long as he was. He's a fucking anomaly. There's maybe 5 coaches in the history of sports that is on the same level of what Sir Alex has done. And I don't mean football. I mean all of sports. This shit, it's not a thing that happens in sports all the time. Teams struggle, team goes up and down, and then it takes time to build consistent success. Give it time, relax, be patient, enjoy watching United.
Certainly. Well, we'll spin it to coach.
Can I just make a game up, James, by the way? You know, like we all take the mick out of Stu and things for the whole football thing, and we might take the mick out of Jamie or you or Mark for posing or whatever. Can we make a new one for Hammer every time he mentions an American sport? He does it every video.
I'm sorry. It's just reference points. That's the only.
Obviously it's a comparison that you know, but I don't understand how nobody's taken the mick out of him for that yet.
It's coming. Just wait until he makes his debut on Uncut. It's coming. But we'll switch over to coaching specifically then, because I think there's a debate to be had there. We do have a video from Charlie. Obviously, he couldn't be here, but he's got very strong opinions on the coaching. So I'll play that now, and then we can just sort of discuss what he's talking about in more detail.
I think, no matter your thoughts on Ollie, no matter who you support, if you watch Manchester United matches, you can see the inconsistency there. And that's something certainly to work on going forwards. Now, there's been a lot of obviously reports that is that down to lack of players, lack of quality, or is that down to lack of coaching? And I've always sided sort of 70-30, 70 coaching, 30 players. I think we have a big coaching issue. So
obviously, Charlie thinks the inconsistency that we've suffered from the last couple of years, I suppose, is more of a coaching issue than anything else. Bainesy, would you agree with that? Because obviously we have had the same coaches ever since Ollie came in. I think they're the same coaches that were under Jose as well. Do you think that the fact that that's been the consistent factor has something to do with it?
Look, Charlie is great because, like Stu says earlier, why is the coaching not good enough? Charlie actually comes out and explains why. Anyway, in his opinion, which is fine, and I sit down and I read all his threads, and he does make some fantastic points, and this is why I side with the coaching does need to improve, but I don't think it's as drastic as everyone seems to think it is. Now, his short video just needs a little bit of context, because what is inconsistent here exactly? We've gone unbeaten away from home. Fair enough, there's no fans, but we still did it. We've got third in the Premier League with 66 points. We got second in the Premier League with 74 points. Now, if you look at the trajectory, it's only going like this. Sorry, I'm in reverse on here. So it's only going like that. So what is inconsistent here? We're still beating teams. We're still scoring a lot of goals. I can understand sometimes that the performances, and Charlie does mention that performances are a bit of a worry. And sometimes we don't play well, but we end up scoring 3 or 4, and it kind of sort of papers over the cracks. I get that. I get that, because I can see in some of our games in the first half, it's just something's just not right. But then in the second half, we always come out and we sort of just blitz teams away. Now, is that what people seem to forget? Is okay, fair enough. We play really bad in the first half. But why is it always in the second half do we come out and play absolutely amazing? Does Ollie just sit there and let the players think? Obviously, it's a coaching thing. He's telling the players, right, this is what we're doing wrong, and this is how we need to go and improve in the second half. And most of the time, we end up going and winning the games in the second half. Was it 27 points we gained from losing positions? Actually, no, that's wrong.
I think it was more than that.
I think it's 31.
More than that, yeah.
So 31 points we gained last year from losing positions. Now you can't put that down to individual brilliance every single game that we were losing. Look, it's I know that sometimes Ollie's always to blame. Well, it seems like anyway, Ollie's always to blame when we lose, but people cannot give him the credit of when we actually win. And a lot of the time it's Ollie this and Ollie that, and his coaching staff, he doesn't make the right subs. But you're looking at such a small portion of the games now, because I can't remember the last time we lost. Okay, young boys, but before that we lost to Leicester and Liverpool in a week where we had to play 5 games in about 10 days or something. So a loss was going to happen there. We lost in the Europa League final on penalties after scoring 10 in a row. Now, I don't know what kind of juju that was, but whatever. It is what it is. But we need to see, okay, these inconsistencies, it needs to have a bit more context. What are you talking about when it comes to inconsistencies? It's such an overreaction. And I'm not going to say, look, this is really controversial as well, because when I say this in the nicest possible way. When you go to Old Trafford, there seems to be this whole mysteria that the club is heading in the right direction. Everyone's happy. Everyone's singing along. Everyone's had a beer or 2 or 5, and everyone's just getting on with the game. Yeah, or 12. They get into the ground. They're singing every single player's names. They're singing Ollie's name. But then you go online, and it's the complete opposite. And it's like, even though we've won 2-0 or 5-1 against Leeds or 4-1 against Newcastle, it's we played rubbish, Ollie out, Ollie this, the game was boring. What I don't get it. What more do you want? But
do you know what? Just to jump in, sorry. There's a clear and obvious difference, I think, between them. And I just want to make clear as well, there's nothing wrong with a United fan not going to the game.
Yes.
Or going to Old Trafford. There's never anything wrong with that. But I think you can very clearly tell those that do go to the game and go to Old Trafford regularly, and the person on Twitter who is doing it for a few likes. I think you can clearly see in that stadium that everybody is all in. They might not necessarily think you can't do better, but a majority of them, they might not even necessarily agree and think maybe somebody else will be better, but they still back the manager. And you can very clearly see that with the chanting, with the way they get behind the team, with the way that when there was no crowds, the stadium and the crowd doesn't let them slack, especially at home anyway. Whereas you then go on Twitter and it seemed, if you close your eyes and didn't watch a game and didn't even look at Old Trafford and just followed football through Twitter, you'd think everybody would want Ollie hung.
Yeah.
It's quite an obvious difference.
It's completely different.
Yeah, exactly. And there's another point that I need to make as well, because there's a lot of people who seem to say that one of his criticisms is his substitutions and his lack of style of play. Now, there seems to be this problem in this country that ever since Pep Guardiola came about as a coach, there was a fancy way that you had to play football. And if it didn't have a fancy nickname next to it, then it wasn't any good. Why do we have to have, in modern day football, one style of play all the time? Man United can play however they like, as long as it gets the job done with a win. And we can adapt in different games and overcome different obstacles. We don't have to stick to some kind of rigid principle of having to play tiki-taka passing football. We adapt to what the game is becoming. The way I look at it is, we've had a manager who is a legend of the club, of course, that goes without saying, but you've also got a manager who has come in, completely changed the philosophy back to making us all feel good about the club again. Proper die-hard fans who can clearly see the progress that's going on. You've also got a manager who has come in, and in his 150-plus games in charge, he's got more high-scoring feats in 150-plus games in charge than the previous 3 managers combined. He makes us excited to watch Man United again. I get the other night was awful. It was boring, and it was completely tactically wrong. But why do we somehow know better? He got it wrong, and he's got it wrong a few times. I'll happily admit that. But it happens. I just don't understand it. And the thing is, as well, there's a lot of fans coming out and saying, "Well, Conte will come in, and he'll steady the ship, and he'll make it better, and he'll win us a trophy."
Yeah, by playing 7 defenders and 2 attackers. By
playing 5 at the back, which most people were criticising the other night. You can't criticise a manager for going, "Oh, we play 3 at the back, and then with two defensive fullbacks and all that, and then putting 5 at the back." When Conte's main philosophy is playing exactly that. He also would then need, you've seen this club be rebuilt from the bottom up with the academy and stuff, but you've seen these players come in. 3 years ago, we had Pereira and Matic and Fred and Dan James and Marshall and stuff. Now we've got the likes of Fernandes and Varane, and Ronaldo's come back, for God's sake.
Sancho.
Sancho.
Yeah.
If we was to then sack Ollie, another manager comes in and just wants to rebuild the team with his own players.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. The reaction of it all is so ridiculous. I get Ollie's got his flaws, but you never seem to see these flaws come out when we've just beaten someone 4-1 or 5-1. It's all like, yeah, we should have beat Young Boys the other day. We should have battered them even with 10 men. But this idea that he's not got a philosophy and he's not got a style of play and he should do this, he should do that, he should sack all his coaches and we could sack the entire team. It's typical Man United Twitter. And then what happens? Sky Sports jump all over it and go, oh, United are in for Conte. Solskjaer's got 2 games to save his job. Just pathetic. And I'm so sick to death of having the same debates just all the time.
Just on that Conte story, and also I've just seen a comment that from Giorgio saying we want the United style. If you can explain what the United style is, briefly put it in. Yeah, quickly put it in.
What was Fergie's style?
Yeah, what was Fergie's style? You tell us. You convince. You tell us what is the United style. What is Fergie's style? Right.
Forget Fergie as well. Talk about other managers that we've had. What's their style of play? What was Ron Atkinson's style of play? Dave Sexton's style of play.
I need to address this comment that I keep saying because I think it's from the same person. This former people. I need you to write in the comment now. How are we inconsistent? Tell me. Because I half disagree with Charlie. I don't feel like we are inconsistent. We've just gone 29 away games in the league unbeaten. We finished second last season. We've got a squad this year very, very capable of winning the league, never mind a trophy. I've not seen anything in the league this year, in the league game so far this year, that suggests to me that we can't do something with this squad. I've not seen, in particularly, an inconsistent style of play this year. And don't get me wrong, if Wan-Bissaka didn't get sent off the other night, you telling me that would have stayed 1-0? It was complete.
We're winning 3-4-0.
Yeah.
I don't care. We're winning 3-4-0
We were dominating.
even in that game, right? Everyone was saying, "Oh, we got outshot by Young Boys 19, whatever it was." Right?
It's irrelevant.
If you look at the shots, their only shot in the penalty area was their equaliser. Their second shot in the penalty area was their second goal. So yes, they may have been shooting at our goal. Half of them were off target, and the other half were from outside the box, and they were comfortable. So you've got to look at it with context. You're plucking these stats out because it just proves your argument, but it doesn't. You've got to look at the game. You're not looking at the game. We were comfortable.
Yes. No, you're right. We were dominating that game before the red card, but it's the problem that a lot of people who look at more than just stats have with stat people. You're just taking stats without any context, and it doesn't apply to a conversation. And then I also just want to, I saw people commenting earlier on while you guys were going, y'all genuinely think that all the away points, I forgot what number Bainesy said earlier, right? And all the stuff that we were playing extremely well in is all individual performance. Every single one of those games was all individual. How does that make sense in any of y'all's heads if you understand football? There's no way. We had
Phil on a while ago, didn't we? And I think he was having a bit of a debate with Abdel. How do you say his name? Sorry, forgive me if I got that wrong. But there seems to be this common misconception at the minute that we can't break down low blocks either. Again, it's complete rubbish. And to be honest, the perfect example of it being complete rubbish was the Newcastle game the other day.
Yeah.
We
scored 4 goals.
We scored 4 goals against a team that literally couldn't even be arsed moving towards us. They just stood still and made sure we couldn't get to them. We still put 4 goals against them. It's so frustrating seeing the same things again. It's Ollie and the coaches lost that. Not the red card the other day. It's blaming Jesse Lingard for that pass at the end. Like, does Solskjaer do that? Does Solskjaer pass that ball back? No.
Yeah, exactly.
So many times.
Because Ollie is telling Lingard to go on the pitch and go pass it back to him in the 93rd minute.
Stuart said so many times in all these videos.
Yeah.
There's so much tactics you can do. There's so much coaching you can do. But these guys are professional footballers who, if you can't apply these tactics and use your brain and get out of situations that coaching can't even do anything about, then you shouldn't be playing for Manchester United at all. You should be good enough to sometimes understand, right? You know, you adapt to what happens on the field at the time. And if you can't do that, then you need to kind of assess your position of why you're at this club.
Also, real quick, sorry, Stu, I could just
All
squeeze
right,
this one in
dude.
real quick. I feel like some people also aren't thinking that. I know some of the guys who are in the comments now are going to maybe put it down to excuses. The people that we signed, 3 of them are going to become first team starters right off the bat, and they are already. One of them was right. Like, do you understand? This takes time, right? I don't. Even though yes, we signed Varane, Ronaldo, Sancho, amazing, great. But now they also got to, and not only they got to learn to start playing with our team, and our team got to learn to start playing with them. Again, like I said in my first intro thing, we're 5 games in. Y'all need to take a fucking. I could send people some shit if you want, but damn, relax.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, actually.
What there is a huge confusion actually between what people see as coaching and what people see as a style of play. You don't coach a style of play. Everybody who plays football, I'm talking anybody, and your basic coaching is done from the ages of 6, 7, 8 to about 14. That's your basic style of coaching. That's your touch, your ability, your heading, your awareness, your passing, your positional play, your vision, all of that type of stuff you learn at a very early age. When you are at a club like Manchester United, you're an international footballer, you're tweaking. That's all you're doing. You're just tweaking. These guys get up every day and play football. They're kicking a ball around. They're in a football environment, a tactical environment, a conversational environment about the game. All right. But all I see about coaching is our style of play. Massive confusion between the two. And when you say what's our style of play, we want to see quick attacking football. Okay, first and foremost, to win a football league, to win a league or a cup or a trophy of any description, you have to win football matches. And whether you win 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, it actually is an irrelevance. It's an absolute irrelevance. It's how you go about winning games. Now, everybody would like to see attacking football. Everybody would like to see us just rush at teams, get at teams and score 4 or 5 goals a game. You're talking about a simple 4-4-2 formation then to do that, because you attack all the time with wingers. That's what you do, okay? We don't play a 4-4-2. The modern day game doesn't allow you to play a 4-4-2. It comes up with these FIFA kind of championship manager types of formations where you want to put one slightly inside right, one out on the touchline, a centre forward on the 6-yard box, and then you've got your 2 centre midfields, line astern. It's nonsense. It doesn't work like that. And you guys, you're in the comments, and I hear your points and I accept your points, but if any of you play the game, you'll know how it's not about consistency. It's about utilisation of the message that is sent to you and how you apply that on the pitch. And not everybody does it. Tuchel's going through, I understand people talking about Tuchel, but he's going through his honeymoon period. Look at Klopp last year. He lost a couple of players, couldn't do anything with his team. Tuchel had the same issue with Dortmund. Started off quite well and then he tailed off. Pochettino started off well and he tailed off. Mourinho, absolutely brilliant, but couldn't adjust to the new modern day way of playing. Look, there's a multitude of different reasons, and you can't just have a go at Carrick, McKenna, our new specialist coach, which I'm not really. I don't buy coaches. Yeah, Ramsey and stuff of that nature. I don't buy it. It is application. You send players onto the pitch, you cross that white line, it's up to you to win that game of football. All right. But don't get confused with style of play and coaching, because it doesn't fit. It just doesn't work. Giorgio, I don't want a point that says Mourinho's got a second with more points than Ollie. It's a different league.
Complete shite that. Oh.
But the argument on that is so okay. He finished 6th. I don't know how many points we had. Was it 66 again? With Jose's first season when we won the Europa.
Honestly, any kind of argument about that with Jose could do better. I'm sorry. It doesn't even deserve a response.
Because we were sitting 6th or 7th the year after. So it doesn't make any sense. And just to add on the Tuchel
Might as well get
point,
Allardyce in.
so the Tuchel point is, okay, look, can someone pull up? I'm sure someone in the comments can look, but can someone pull up how many times Tuchel has scored 3 or more goals for Chelsea in his Chelsea career, right? Because what Tuchel does, and what a lot of people don't get, Chelsea do not score a lot of goals. They sit back. They are really hard to beat defensively. They sit back and they bank on 1 or 2 goals. Honestly, look, but I'm certain on this one. I'm going to go on a whim here and say I don't think Tuchel has outscored Ollie at all. But everyone seems to think that Tuchel plays this expansive attacking style play football. Okay, so why aren't we scoring the goals for it? Why aren't they scoring the goals for it?
Yeah, well, it's a good point you make.
defenders.
Yeah, it's a good point you're making. And don't forget about football as a whole. It takes 2 teams to tango. And for you to sometimes, and Callum touched on this actually in his original speech, if you look at football as a whole, it takes 2 teams. And if one team sits back constantly, it's impossible for you to play attacking, flowing football. You just can't do it because you'll get to a certain stage on the pitch. You've got to stop. You've then got to decide what to do. You then got to dangle the carrot and bring them back out. So it's not all about one team playing attacking football. The other team's got to allow you to do that. Do you remember when City came to Old Trafford last season? 0-0. What did Guardiola do that game?
He matched us.
He's never done, has he? Never done. He didn't attack us. He never came for us. Yeah, he never came for us.
It was 0-0, wasn't it? Yeah, it was 0-0.
Well, 0-0. We actually should have won the game. On that particular game, we were weak-minded. We didn't take that game that we should have done, and we should have won that game. But all I'm saying is that coaches will do that occasionally. And a good game of football needs a good team, two coaches who really want to go at each other. The Newcastle Leeds match is a great example of that, of end-to-end stuff. You can't always get that. So it is one of those, I'm afraid. You do require other teams. But, yeah, I just thought I'd touch on that point, Cal, because you were right.
Do you know, I keep seeing this, that we need to get more experienced coaches. Some of our coaches have been coaching for 20 years, 10 plus years. We've got people here that have been all over the world and coached. These people that just immediately go, oh, it's the coaching. I'm sorry, guys, but I didn't realise you were with the squad every day. Like, it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. And there's a guy, I can't remember where the comment is now, but it's saying something about Tuchel. Tuchel joined a club from that Lampard had, where everyone was told that the squad wasn't ready. Tuchel come in to a squad that was very clearly capable, but they had a very bad manager, in my eyes, in Lampard. The media said Arteta was brilliant. Now look at Arsenal. The thing is, people are going, oh, well, we haven't won a trophy. You can quite clearly see that. And sometimes trophies are great, but they can very clearly, very, very clearly stifle what's actually going on. They won the FA Cup, and now look at them. You know, sometimes not winning a trophy and going on a drought isn't the worst thing. Now, I admit, with the squad that we've got this season, Ollie really is under pressure to win something this year. And I do genuinely feel that we'll all have our Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in or out or shake it all about questions answered this year. And the problem is, like, you've got Mike Phelan as our assistant manager. You've got Martin Pert as another coach. He's literally been coaching since 2008. He's been a coach for nearly 15 years. Mm-hmm. These people are very experienced. So this argument that the coaches aren't good enough. Kieran McKenna is one of the most sought-after young coaches ever, and he came to United. He wanted to come to us. The set-piece coaches, they're recognising issues, and they're bringing in coaches to sort these issues out. But it's not just going to happen in 2-3 months. You can already see a difference with Varane and Maguire together. But I've said so many times, when you have to play 2 holding midfielders because one of them can't do it on their own, there's going to be issues. So people need to just remember these things take time. And also, some of the comments, I'm just refusing to even acknowledge because they're ridiculous.
There's a comment there that says Ollie just needs to finish fourth and his job is safe. Now,
I don't think that's the case at all this year.
Yeah, I tweeted earlier today a thread from he's a really nice Scott Patterson. You guys have probably heard of him.
Yeah.
And I agree completely what he said, and it was along the lines of it is kind of a make or break season. Now we could back Ollie as much as we can with the coaching and with everything that we can do, right? But I do agree with Scott here when he says it's a make or break season for Ollie. He's got the best team. He's got Ronaldo. He's got Sancho. He's got Varane. He's sorted out most of the teams in terms of their positions. Not every single team is going to have the perfect 11, the perfect player for that position. No team has that. But it is a bit of a make or break. I think Ollie does need to win something. He does need to go out there and go prove that, yeah, look, I can win something. I can go out and win an FA Cup, Champions League, Premier League, whatever. But again, I did also tweet that it does need context. Now, for example, if we go trophyless again this year, however, we get to the Champions League final, lose it on a referee decision, lose it on a dodgy VAR call, lose it on an injury that happens in the fifth to Ronaldo in the 5th minute, and we finish 3 points behind City or Chelsea, do you sack him or do you keep him? Because that again, it just needs context. Now, if we are 20 points adrift from top and we go out in the Champions League in the round of 16 or the quarterfinals, fair enough, you've got a point. But I think it's a bit of a make or break as well. So he's always not safe for criticism, as we've seen.
That's a good point.
He's safe.
But Baines, you're right there, because we're not saying, and I'm definitely not saying that Ollie shouldn't be criticised when I think he's got it wrong, because he should be criticised. And we should, and everybody has the right to criticise. But let's make it constructive. Let's not criticise and just say it's a coaching issue and then hide behind that tweet or hide behind that conversation. Talk about why you feel it's a coaching issue. And people either agree with you or they disagree with you. It's a bit like guys in the comments either agree with us or they disagree with us. But what actually bothers me the most is that the people that are calling for Ollie to lose his job, the Ollie outers, if that's what you want to call him. And okay, you get a Conte and you get a Zidane. What happens in 2 years' time if we're no further forward? Are you then going to be calling for Zidane to be removed or Conte to be removed? You know, it's a kind of a revolving door has been the managerial seat at Old Trafford since Sir Alex left. Now, you'll never get a 26-year reign again or a 22-year reign like Wenger, or I think Sean Dyche is on about his 9th or 10th year at Burnley. You'll never get that again. It won't happen. Football doesn't allow it. But it's all right calling for somebody to be removed and somebody to come in. But are we going to have the same conversation in 2 years' time? Probably. We all thought Mourinho might steady the ship. It didn't work. Van Gaal steadied the ship. It didn't work. Ollie's come in and he's not just changed the first 11 or the squad. He's changing the ethos at the club, everything about the club. And that's where you've got to give somebody time. You can't just pluck managers out and put another manager in. It isn't FIFA, guys. It isn't Championship Manager where you get sacked and then you go, start again somewhere. It's not like that. It's real life football. And you guys have got to stop getting behind Ollie. And sometimes you've got to look at the players' contributions as well and start looking at how the players can improve. And it isn't just Ollie that's got to make the players improve. The players themselves have got to make themselves improve. They've got to train harder. They've got to go in an hour early and finish 2 or 3 hours later. They've got to work on their own individual games where they're weak. Matic has spent his career playing with his left foot only, never had a right foot. Now, people will say so's Giggs, but you're talking two different players. When you're playing in the middle of the park, you have to be two-footed. You've got to be competent on your weaker foot. Fred isn't competent on his weaker foot. Donny comes in, he's competent with both feet. You've got to look at all of these things that make a team a viable opposition and a difficult team to break down. But I say it again, and I'll keep saying it. It comes down to application. It comes down to the application of the players on the day. And, you have to take that into account. So don't just talk about Ollie getting sacked or the coaches aren't very good. Look at the bigger picture, because it's not just about what Ollie and the coaches are saying. It's what the players are doing. It's what the players take in. A player like Pogba, a player of the quality of Fernandes, Ronaldo, Varane, they should be dictating to the remaining players in our team what to do during a game, because those have got the experience and the ability to see and watch a game unfold. Plug the holes that need plugging. Get hold of the danger men. It should be done on the pitch. Not everything has to be done on the sidelines. You need coaches on the pitch as well. And I just think the guys that are talking about Ollie out, saying the coaches aren't good enough, you're missing that point. And it's a point you should consider.
And I mean, sorry, Hamlet. The problem is with some of the comments is I haven't got a problem at all with people going Ollie out if they have a reason to back it up, or if they have some kind of point that actually can go, all right, mate, I can see your point. I get that, but most of them are just generic crap. Like, oh, well, look at the performance the other day. It's like you can't credit someone. You can't ignore these brilliant performances and not credit Ollie, and then when we have a bad performance, only credit Ollie for it.
Yeah.
You can't put individual performance and say we were great, and then when we lose, it's all Ollie's fault. It's ridiculous. Ollie's done more than enough to be given a very solid opportunity, and unfortunately that is a few years. You've got to be patient with this kind of thing, and he's very clearly earned this opportunity from his status within the club, from what he's done to the club to transform it and to bring in the field goal feeling back. Like I said before, trophies don't always mean everything sometimes, but this season we will get our answer. He needs to win something this season, but
and I want to.
You can't credit individual brilliance if defeats aren't blamed on individual mistakes. You can't use these, it's the coaches. You've got to look at the people on the pitch sometimes, and especially when we're losing through red cards and terrible back passes. You can't just go, it's the coaching. We got it wrong the other day. But it doesn't
We did, yeah. We did get it wrong, yeah.
And I just want to reference some of the comments, and Stu mentioned it briefly too. Somebody put 3.5 years more than most managers get. That's an issue with modern football. Like, I don't know if you guys
no
think
one's given time.
Right? Like, great. Yeah, Chelsea, someone else said Chelsea sacked a club legend halfway through and won the CL. That shit doesn't happen regularly. And it's a reason that clubs nowadays, at time, but one of the reasons have so much turmoil is they're just rotating managers, and then you bring in somebody with a new philosophy. Then you bring in somebody who needs, right? Yeah, Chelsea.
It's Chelsea's ethos.
If you want Chelsea's management side is ran fucking great.
It works for Chelsea, but it doesn't mean it will work for United. They're two completely different things.
And then I also want to point out. So I also want to point out one of the other comments from Stu that was I think Stu was talking about like players need to improve themselves as well and things like that. And there's a couple people being smart-ass. One guy being a smart-ass. He said, Ronaldo needs to improve himself. Varane needs to improve himself. No, those are the players who have done what Stu mentioned, right? If you want to talk about and looking back at shit as well, go find that video somewhere on YouTube where Rio is talking to, I think it was a bunch of young England footballers and like Sancho and people in the room. And he was like, when Ronaldo came, he had great feet and a hard shot, but the shit went everywhere. So he took a bag and went and worked on his own shit after practice by himself, right? You want to use an example of a player who needs to do that? Wan-Bissaka. I mentioned it on Twitter, and I don't know if I mentioned it on the show. I hope this red card gives him a little wake-up call, and he starts doing what Ronaldo does. And this is me just being a little much right now. If I was somebody in that locker room like a Ronaldo, I would go and drop a bag at his feet and say, go work on your dribbling, go work on your touch, because that cost us the Champions League game.
Wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me that Ronaldo has already done that. And the players like Varane, the players like Ronaldo, even Maguire as a captain, it wouldn't surprise me and go, you think training's finished? No. We're going to go out there and we're going to do some more. And that's what Ronaldo brings to the whole squad. And there was that whole thing about his initiation that he didn't actually do a sing-song. He did a speech.
Sing. I do have a question. I do have a question for the guys. Sorry, guys, but I do have a question for the comments. people are saying. I mean, Giorgio has been quite vocal, and all credit to him. He's got his opinions. I accept and respect his opinions, no problem at all. When he's talking about Ollie not coaching and Phelan not coaching, and we all know Sir Alex didn't coach because he left it to Brian Kidd and he left it to Steve McLaren, Muhlenstein, that type of thing. But the question I've got then is, what do you think we need coaching? What areas needs coaching? Please tell us, because I'd be really interested in your thoughts.
Fair enough.
I thought James looks like he's been frozen, doesn't he? For the last 40 minutes. Actually, James, what's your thought process, bud? Because you haven't really said much.
I think exactly. That's the best sort of shows where I don't have to get involved. I think I'll start this by saying that it's probably a mistake on my behalf that the five of us are all Ollie in. And I think that's it's felt like it's been us against the comments, but it's not. We appreciate everyone's opinions.
I'm not necessarily Ollie in. I just haven't given my verdict. Okay, I want to see what he does with the strongest team that he's had. He's been building something, and he's built 95% of it. And like Bainesy said, you're never going to have a team that has the perfect 11, right? So, okay, now we're only missing one position. You sign great pieces for the other positions that need to be filled. Do something with it. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, okay, get him out because we lost the first Champions League group game.
The thing is as well, underdogs do sometimes beat the favourites, obviously it happens. But the thing that worries me as well is if United do go win a trophy, you do realise these people are so set in their ways that they won't say it was Ollie. They'll say it was Ronaldo. Mm-hmm. Or they'll say
100%.
They'll go, well, if we didn't sign Ronaldo, that wouldn't have happened.
I've mentioned a lot of times, it's egos.
People refuse to be wrong. Now, sometimes people need to admit that they're wrong. I'm the only person in the history of the human race that is never actually wrong. However, these people do need to understand that they can be wrong. But, it's just...
It's true.
They will be set in the ways, and they will just go.
I mean, obviously they won't say it here, but that's what I want to know with the people who are so very behind getting Ole out. If he does deliver, and I'll even say a Premier League or a Champions League, because I know you guys love your FA Cup, but I could give two shits at this point. One of those two, if he delivers one of them, are y'all going to come up on one of these shows and say, okay, we were wrong?
Yeah, well, there's been a couple of good comments actually. Giorgio's come back and said, doesn't know what happens in training. We don't look polished. Actually, he's right.
Appreciate that, former people.
Yeah, same here, former people, yeah. But Giorgio's right. There are games where we haven't looked polished. And Vegeta, apologies if I spelt your name wrong.
Vegeta.
Talks about combination play. And they're right. Those are two good, valid points. We do look a bit disjointed occasionally. Our combination play, our two-touch, our three-touch, it's really poor on occasions. It is. And I agree with both of those points. But that's not always a coaching issue. It's an application issue. I know I keep babbling on about it.
It's scenario as well.
Yeah,
you can't play combination play every single period of play.
But they're two good points, from Giorgio and Vegeta. They are two good points. And and you couldn't disagree with what they've said. But it's up to the players. If there is issues during the game, it's up to the players to just sharpen up themselves on that. Again, you can practice this in your kind of 6-yard area, your 1-touch, 2-touch, etc. But during the game, it's up to the players to do it. So I take your points there, both of you, and I would agree with both of those. So I don't have an issue with that.
You look at style of play though. I mean, when Jose was losing 1-0, it was 0-0 and needed a goal. He used to lump Fellaini up forward and we used to just route one it. And he was known as one of the best coaches in the world.
Well, you make a really good point.
Sunday League does that. That's nothing special.
I think Hammy was talking about it. Hammy, you were talking about this, weren't you, a while ago? He said that Mourinho...
Remember that?
No, not Mourinho. Van Gaal. Van Gaal realised if you position Fellaini in between the right back and the right centre half, 10 yards ahead, he got a pocket of space. Right, and it worked. That single pass worked for 2 or 3 games, if you remember. Fellaini would chest it down in acres of space. What happened? What happened? Coaches get wise to it.
Shit gets figured out quick.
But I could have figured that out on the pitch. as a centre half. I could have figured that out on the pitch. Tell you right, can you just tuck in 5 yards? That's all I need you to do. So when he takes the ball, you can hit it. Yeah,
ready. I'll even help you guys start keeping track. This is one point here, Callum. It's a term that we do use over here, and it's called a sophomore slump, right? Or sometimes somebody comes on in their first year, they destroy it, and they play great, and their second year they struggle because the pros that they were playing against figured out how to defend them.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same in all sports.
One season wonders.
Oh yeah.
Well, there was a point as well, though, about the whole, obviously, that Ollie couldn't defend the lead because he went down to 10 men and, other managers wouldn't have done that and things. Connor put it on Twitter. Didn't...
Oh.
Like, when was the red card? Like, I've just got it up here. In the 29th minute of the game, Thiago Silva got sent off against West Brom for Chelsea. This was 6 months ago. Sorry, this was 4 months ago, 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And they lost 5-2 to West Brom. West Brom got relegated.
So another point to all this too is being united.
It really is, and we just there's nothing wrong with being angry after a loss. Look, people can be angry, people can get annoyed, people can even overreact if they want to. But I think what they need to look at is, and Karthik said it the other day as well, we need to look at that game in isolation, and we need to fairly criticise and, as fans, wonder where it went wrong, respectfully, before we start screaming at Jesse Lingard in public. Do you know what I mean? Like, people need to look at it in isolation. I completely agree with what Karthik said. I believe we defended it too quickly. We should have gone for the game a bit more. But I still think we should have gone for the second and third goal, even with 10 men. We seem to want to defend the lead way too early on in the game and made substitutions too quickly. Arguably, could have even said that we brought the wrong people on. Why the hell we brought Ronaldo off, I'll have no idea. I get the whole tactic thing about, he was running around on his own and stuff. But the thing is, players like Ronaldo have to stay on the pitch. I don't care what anybody says. They are that good that a small moment could become a goal.
Yeah, the problem with that, Carl, you're absolutely right, because I'm with you on that one. I think Ronaldo should have stayed. I actually tweeted when he'd gone to the back three, I thought it was a smart move. And then I talked about this last night, actually, Bainesy and Hammer. And then I realised he'd made a mistake, because what he should have done when he took Sancho off is put Varane on and move Lindelof out to right back.
Yeah, completely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then started the second half with that 11 and just see how the game unfolded.
Well, 10.
Sorry, 10. Yeah, sorry.
But the thing is,
how the game unfolded.
Just to touch on that quickly,
just to finish off, Ainsley. All I was going to say was
go.
The reason Ronaldo looked leggy was because he's having to come back and chase for the ball. If we kept that kind of pattern together, Ronaldo would have been fed a lot easier. So that's all I was going to say.
We were comfortable. We were comfortable, guys. We were comfortable in that game.
Oh, for sure.
Their equaliser came from a deflected shot and a little bit of lack of concentration, and the striker got ahead of Varane. Other than that, we were comfortable, and it looked like we were going to draw the game away from home. What's the rule when you play Champions League group stages? You don't lose away, you win your home games. And we were on the set, and obviously Lingard had a...
Yeah, you win your home. That's exactly right.
And I do just want to say, too, because I thought about this, I think after the post game, was I on that? But I just want to say, because I remember saying I actually didn't mind Ronaldo coming off, and I think I understood what Ole was doing here, right? I'm thinking, and it goes back to context of stuff. If this is later in the season, if this is, for some, and never mind, actually, I'm not going to say what I just said. Let's, closer to a semi or something like that. You don't take him off. But we got a game coming up. This was first group stage game, all that type of stuff. I think Ole made the decision in the sense of it's a long season. It's that's where I think it came from. I think in the future, Ole, if we need him like that, he's not going to take Ronaldo off.
No, I get it. I do. But there are games where you will get that one chance, and you need the right striker. And with the Lingard issue, look. I've done a back pass like that in my time.
Well, you can't predict that, right?
Everybody's done it.
Yeah. You're not going to predict that happening in the last minute of the game. Like that.
It was the last kick.
Yeah, everyone's done it. I mean, their first goal. I'm going to get beat up here again. I thought Varane could have been a bit quicker over, a bit stronger.
I knew you were going to say this.
I thought he could have been a bit stronger because if you remember the way that he scored, it was kind of with the sole of his foot.
Yeah.
You know,
he poked it, didn't he?
Yeah, and he was off balance. So a little shoulder barge, which is legal, by the way, a little shoulder barge might have taken. But look, I'm what do I know? It's just an opinion, isn't it? But what do I? I'm not saying I'm right. It's just an opinion. So
it's what I should have done to the dickhead who kept turning me last Sunday.
Oh, you didn't embarrass yourself, did you?
A couple of times. He was a fast little shit, man. It was pissing me off.
I told you what to do with fast little fuckers. I told you what to do.
I didn't know he was that fast yet. It was early in the game.
Yeah. You can just sideswipe him as long as the ball can go. The ball can go forward as long as the man doesn't. That's my rule.
But you get my point, Baines. I mean, some people thought it was a good goal, and I thought he took it well. But
yeah, he took it. He reacted really quick to a deflected cross.
Exactly.
And that's what makes him a striker. I give it to him. Honestly,
but if Lindelof had been there, Lindelof would have been absolutely slaughtered for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's all I was getting at. And it's funny, isn't it, how we view different types of things. But anyway, I'll be quiet now, James. Sorry, pal. But I've really enjoyed tonight, fellas. I think it's been a great chat.
Yeah,
that's a good point by Strawberry Milk is nice.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. Yeah, he's not wrong.
Yeah,
well, we had a big issue last season, though, didn't we? Our away form was brilliant, but our home form
was dreadful.
Yeah. So the thing is, the kind of games against Newcastle, I'm not particularly saying these two teams per se, but them kind of games, you'd kind of look at and go, we should beat them. And as soon as us fans said those words, we didn't win them. Whereas the two games where you'd sort of go, oh, I don't know, after last season, we've ended up battering the two teams we played.
James, put up Brendan's quote, and I don't want to say it, but I'm going to have to. I've been saying that for ages, Brendan.
That's fair enough. No, it's fair. It is true. You're right. John Terry was one of the best defenders in the world at his time. He didn't have a great deal of pace, did he? But you read the game.
Stevie Bruce.
Yeah.
To be fair to Stu as well, though, were you on about the young boys goal on Newcastle? Because I said the same. I can't remember what video it was after.
Both.
I think it was more of a collective defensive problem against Newcastle when they scored their goal. And it was one of them when they scored, you just thought, oh, here we go, it'll be 1-1 this now. And then we ended up obviously steamrolling them. But
so did you think that? Because I didn't.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
when it went to 1-1 against Newcastle, I was like, I know we're going to win this.
It was just weird though, because obviously Shaw was out of position, Maguire dived in, and Varane was off balance. He really was. He was, and he dove in as well. I just thought for three very.
The only one that said he's dove in. I got slaughtered for that, Cal, when I said that. I got slaughtered.
He did dive in, and he should have stood up and read. And I know there was an overlap, so you can sort of understand that bit, and you can forgive him for that. But collectively and defensively, I thought all three defenders that were involved in that move for the Newcastle goal did pretty poorly, to be completely honest. You're always kind of told, especially when you're that high up the pitch, don't be out of position and don't jump into a tackle or dive in unless you know for a fact you're going to win that ball. And all three of them did that. That's not a coaching issue. That's a problem on the field at the time.
Every goal you concede, unless it's a 30-yard screamer that goes top bin, is always going to be a mistake.
And we all love a 30-yard screamer, don't we?
Yeah, of course we do. Yeah, especially when it's Ronaldo as well.
And in fact, I made a point about the Leeds one, Baines, and you won't be surprised. I said
it was a good goal.
Yeah, but it was his control that made his mind up.
Yeah.
Because his control pushed him 2 or
5 yards out, didn't he?
Yeah, it made his mind. He had no choice but to shoot because we would have got him. But yeah, I made that point as well. Sorry, James. I just thought I'd mention it. I made that point.
I've had enough of you, Stu. I've had enough, honestly.
I know. Standard practice there, pal.
Listen, we're over the hour mark, so I think I've not spoke much today, so I suppose I'll give the closing statement.
Ollie out.
Yes. No. I will start, like, I'll finish what I was saying earlier in terms of, personally, like, as a host, it's my fault that this conversation hasn't been more balanced than it probably should have been. So I apologise for that, whether it's, getting different personnel on or what, but it has been very sort of Ollie positive when there's a lot of people who aren't. So we appreciate all the comments that have come in that have an opposing view, and we welcome them as well. It's not us versus you in any sense. We're all United fans in that case. But I'll say we'll go back to the coaching issue. I'm a big Ollie fan. I think he's the right manager for us. I don't see a manager who would do better, especially in a long-term sense. But I think more and more with the modern game, managers aren't coaches. You only get a few that are, like Pep and sort of the real elite coaches, which Ollie definitely isn't. Don't get me wrong, he's nowhere near Pep and Klopp and other managers like that. But it's only a very special breed of manager who can be a man manager and a coach as well. That's the reason people employ coaches. So I think Ollie's a brilliant man manager, which is probably the most important thing in the modern game. There's a lot of fragile egos out there, and we've seen the positivity within the camp constantly at United. What a good job he's doing in that sense. I think we maybe could get better coaches, but I'm hesitant to say that because my thoughts are, you can say we can get better coaches, but could you name one coach from another team that we could get in? So I don't know the names of any coaches, any top coaches or anything like that, but it's something to do research on, which I will moving forwards. Look into coaches that could do better. I think that the fact that we have almost the identical set of coaches to when Mourinho was here is a bit worrying. I'd have thought Ole would have had a bit more input in that. I think that's a little bit, it goes against him a little bit in the sense that they're probably not his ideal coaches, and he probably should have done more to fix that. But listen, we're heading in the right direction. That's all I can say. There's no negativity in the club. The only negativity really comes from outside it, and year-on-year progress will eventually get you success, no matter how long it takes. As soon as we stop seeing that progress, then I'll start to question Ollie. Don't get me wrong. Ollie is not immune from anything. If we go back this season, like backwards in terms of where we were last season, especially with the money spent, I'll be a lot closer to Ollie out. I won't be fully Ollie out, but you know what I mean. It's this constant success, the constant progression that's keeping me on his side. And I think coaches could be better. I don't know who we'd bring in, but I think it is a coaching issue. And yeah, very long-winded. I'll say thank you as well because I brought it up, but I didn't get to say thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. We really do. We don't in any way feel obliged to send any money to us. It's obviously a massive bonus, but it's not expected in any way.
But some of you new guys in the comments should definitely subscribe.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Yeah,
it's nice to have a discussion anyway. It's always good to hear what other people say. So
absolutely, took the words out of my mouth. But yeah, massive thank you to the panel. I think you gave us a really good discussion. I didn't have to say anything, so that shows how much of a fluid conversation we had, and that's what this channel is all about. As I said, a massive thank you as well to the comments. I apologise if anyone felt excluded by the conversation or in any way opposed, because we encourage debate in that sense. But yeah, be sure to tune in again. On my part, I'll do better to get a more balanced panel. But yeah, like and subscribe. Stay tuned for the weekend's action. Massive game at the weekend against West Ham. We're winning 5-0. We're winning the league. All that jazz. And I will see you next time.